growing up speaking Hawaiian and then not being able to speak Hawaiian. Throughout my adult life, I had decided that whenever I was ready to have children, that my children would speak Hawaiian, like no doubt about it. That would be their first language. And so when I became Hapai with Hokua, that was the first, those were no Mozart in the belly. It was Olelo Hawai'i, it was a no-brainer to put her into Pūnana Leo o Maui. And it's sad that the school is so competitive because that's the only school here on the island that services the preschool component for Kaiapuni education. And preschool, as we all know, is important for children, and why not have that where we start them learning about what it means to malama each other, what it means to malama your kupuna, and that those relationships carry with them very defined responsibilities and things that you can slack off on. So you have a kuleana to your kupuna, but then there's a whole bunch of kuleana that's not yours, it's theirs, and they need to malama that and fulfill that for the entire relationship to be healthy. So having her go into Pūnana, it was a lot of work because they ask a lot for parents to help clean, and it really is because it's a nesting kind of keeping you together. So when you go out into the real world of public school or what have you, these are relationships that will hopefully nourish and sustain you. When I talk about Kaiapuni, I'm really talking about Ka Papahana Kaiapuni. That's the name for our statewide schooling, education in Hawaiian. So all the classes from basically in the DOE system from kindergarten to 12th grade are done entirely in Hawaiian. All the coursework is entirely in Hawaiian. But it's not just that. It's all of the values that come along with it, with the cultural values. Now, having Kula Kaiapuni and Ka Papahana Kaiapuni throughout the state in various schools has been basically a pilot project to them for a while. So it hasn't been, it hasn't been given the types of resources and accessories and the things that are needed to keep it going, as well as it could be, as well as we could be turning out stellar students. And we do turn out stellar students with what we have. So this new Office of Hawaiian Education, we're currently, and I say we like I work for the DOE, but the DOE is currently searching for, applicants, is taking applications for that. And what that office will do is not only oversee the workings and look for funding and professional development for those involved with Ka Papahana Kaiapuni, but that office is also responsible for helping to get cultural materials and language materials to the greater public schools in the state. So what the aim is to not just enrich and and bump up Kula Kaiapuni, but it's also to enrich and bump up those schools that don't have Kula Kaiapuni. And pretty much every school that has a Kaiapuni component to you will tell you that the population, the greater population of the school is enriched having those students. Now we do protocol in the morning. It's we do a vehena at the beginning of the week, and olis in the morning. Really preparing and centering you for the day. You know what you're doing. You know what you're here to do. Your kumu's oli to you. They know what they're here to do, and they're there to do it. That's where Kaiapuni is now. Is that the state wants to support it, but because of No Child Left Behind, Race to the Top funds, they supposedly cannot, because we cannot do Common Core, we cannot do General Learner, we don't have an annual assessment, So these are problems that are being dealt with now at a higher level than just parents being involved, but it was parents being involved and pushing to get this. For her, we've had to go through 3 protests of Paia school. Where we were out in front, signs. The previous principal was going to hold a lottery for children to immersion because she wanted to cap the class. And it was a big fight. It was a big fight with the district superintendent and taking it all the way to Oahu and saying, look, the goal of public school is to educate every child equally. Now, this school, not a program in the school, but a school in your school, is seeing rapid enrollment, whereas this part of your school is not. So it you need to be juggling things around to accommodate these children, because there's no way we're going to lottery something that should be a given in Hawaii. And that's the thing I like about Kaiapuni. It's for everyone. It's not just for Hawaiians. It's not just for if your family's been speaking Hawaiian. I mean, you can walk off the street or walk straight off the plane and register your child for immersion. As long as you're 3rd or 4th grade, if it's your first time in there, you can still scoot them in there, and they will still get everything they need to get to pass the test they need to pass. But it's not a race-based thing. It's not a language-based thing. I mean, anybody can do it, and that's the beautiful thing about it. And it's not just the language aspect. It's also that rootedness in a sense of place, like where you come from, which is, I think, really, it's absent, it's sorely lacking. I mean, in the greater U.S., idea of what is a culture. I mean, the U.S. culture is a culture of many cultures, but Hawaiian culture it's rooted somewhere. We have history, and I think for anybody to know where they come from is a huge and powerful thing, and that we have that right here. And that I can access that, she can access that. We're not just accessing that at school. We're calling the kumu, we're looking at other people in the community. We go out on our aina and we access that, and we practice what we learn.